Welcome to the Kurt Saxon Show, your countdown to the future. Either man must be content with poverty all his life, or else be willing to deny himself some luxuries and save to make the base of independence in the future. But if a man denies the future and spends as he earns, whether his earning be $1 or $10 a day, let him look for lean and hungry want at some future time.
Guys, obviously that wasn't a live broadcast by Kurt Saxon, but I wanted to play that showing what I used to listen to back 25 years ago. And I listened to that on a shortwave radio. Actually, this is one of the first shortwave radios that I ever purchased from Radio Shack. And I used to be in the shortwave radio a lot, and that was before the internet became a really widely available thing for everyone. And now everyone is online and getting their information from their computer, from their cell phone, and that is what the government now is wanting to control mostly. They are looking to control the internet, and we all know that they want to have the fact checkers, want to start prosecuting people for dangerous misinformation online, and they want to control everything. And they also want you to have an ID to even go online. That way you have to use your ID to log on to the internet. That way they know exactly who you are, where you are, and what you're listening to or what you're watching and the content you're reading online. It's all about control. And it's going to happen, in my opinion. They're going to lock the internet down for our safety, of course. And when they do, it's going to be extremely difficult to find any decent information online, any real factual information online about what's actually going on. And we're seeing that right now. If you go into Google and you try to find actual information, it's all hidden. It's all hidden. If you try to find information about viruses, about medications, about vaccines, it's all hidden. They will put the mainstream narrative, the narrative they want you to see, right at the top, and you have to search and search and search, and a lot of that is completely hidden. Alternative information completely hidden. We see it here on YouTube, where they want to ban people, give people strikes, they want to control the narrative. And it's going to get worse, unfortunately. And like I said, they want it to be where you have to have ID to even go online. That way they can track, control what you see, what you look at. If you go on the wrong website, that they're like, a dark web or something like that, they will be able to figure that out and know where you're going to. I also suggest going to the dark web, and I'm using that for an example. They want to control everything because you might be able to find information somewhere else, and they want to know if you did. And it may be tied into your social credit score system, where they can take and use that against you, just like they do in China with the social credit score system. And that's where I think, radio comes in. Like I said, I've used shortwave radio for a long time. I got out of it for a long time, actually, because everything's been found online quite easily. YouTube used to be a decent platform where you can go online to find information. You can go on the internet and find different websites that wasn't all hidden, but now we're seeing more and more information hidden, and it's going to get worse. So radio, I think, when they get this digital ID, this ID to even log onto the internet, I think radio's going to make a huge comeback, especially multiple band type radios like this Eton radio. This has shortwave, AM and FM, long wave, iron waves. You can get all kinds of different broadcasts using different antennas with this radio. I have it right now, it's a standard antenna, but you can hook it up, like over here, to a wire that goes in here, run it outside. You can run that to a ground, and simple, cheap, and it will definitely increase the range with this radio. Right now I have it like this right here to show you all that I think it's a good idea to have something like this put back to get information, because when they closed the internet down, I looked for radio to come back. When I was listening to different radio broadcasts, like Kurt Saxon, years and years ago, there were different radio pirate radio stations where they would go out in international waters and blast information through and blast broadcasts through. And this It's going to be much more difficult for them to trace and to find out what you're listening to if you're listening on, a radio. It's out of favor. People nowadays, when it comes to radio, they're like, pretty, they know what it is, but they're like, that's ancient technology. But we're going to start going back to that, in my opinion. When I was first started into prepping back in my late teens, actually, 15, 16, 17 years old, I was in the Wilderness Survival, but then I started listening to, Kurt Saxon and reading his things and his books and newsletters and things. And then I started listening on shortwave radio. And we were getting magazines, actual paper newsletters through the mail. And that's how we shared information then. It wasn't as convenient as going online or going on your cell phone, but it definitely can be done. And I think in time, very short time, I think we'll have to go back to some semblance of that to be able to get any actual information, like, shortwave radio, for example. That signal's kind of weak right there right now. You can hear better on shortwave, at night usually. But you can get broadcasts from around the world and hear different news broadcasts, like I said, whenever they lock down the internet even more. This is going to be pretty much the only way we can find any factual information, I think, get alternative news is through, the radio. Guys, anyway, I think this is something worth looking into, is getting a good radio. A good AM and FM shortwave radio where you can put external antennas on. You can put, you can use headphones with this here if you want to keep, it quiet, like your family's asleep, you want to get to news information. You can plug in headphones, different frequencies, all kinds of different channels. It's digital, it runs off a battery, it runs off electricity. You can get other ones too. This one's about $500 actually. But it's a good radio, especially if you have the outside antenna hooked up and have it grounded. Then it's an excellent radio and picks up a whole lot better than it will with this antenna here. You can get the antennas that's supposed to be for shortwave that clamps onto your regular antenna, and it's just a wire that stretches out. Those help, but not a whole lot. If you hook an external antenna up back here, like I said, and into a ground, you'll get a whole lot better reception with this radio. But overall, you can get something similar to this. They don't make this model anymore. I've had this, like I said, for years and years and years, probably about 30 years now. I've had that radio from Radio Shack. That's one of my first shortwave radios I listened to, Kurt Saxon on another broadcast. But I think this is probably one of the ways that we're going to be having to use to get factual information. Because as the internet gets locked down, I think radio is going to come back. And you're going to have more radio broadcast, and that's where you're going to get information about what's actually going on around the world. Something to think about, something to look into. I'll link to this radio and a few more down in the description box below in the first pinned comment if you want to check them out, and something to consider. It's not, I wouldn't say it was right now a top prep. I'll say right now food and ammunition is a top preps. But communication is also important, and not just, two-way communication like with two-way radios, like, these over here. And these over here. I mean, two-way communications is great. However, you need to have a way you can just listen. Also, having something like a small handheld ham radio can be good because you can tune in, listen to people talk and find out what's going on. But anyway, this video is rambling on. I really had nothing to say this morning. It's Saturday morning. I plan on watching the UFC here later. It came on early because they're in another country. It actually started at 10 o'clock. The prelims did. So I'm going to watch it later on this evening on demand. I don't have time to sit here all morning and watch, the UFC all morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, thought I would bring this to you all talking about, shortwave radio, AM and FM radio, and how I think it's going to make a huge comeback in the very near future, because when they lock the internet down and you can't get on without the government knowing it's you, where you are, what you're looking at, how long you were there, they pretty much can now, but it's going to be impossible to have any anonymity here in the near future, because they're going to have it where you have to sign on with your passcode, with your digital ID to even log into the internet. And then they're going to be able to know everything you do, track, trace, surveil everything. And it's all going to be tied to your social credit score system. But if you have a radio, you can listen to broadcast around the world. You can listen to pirate radio stations and things like that. Those rogue guerrilla radio stations that they will be radio stations that can be set up mobily and then moved because they will be trying to track those. And you might be able to pick those up here, on a shortwave radio. Anyway, something to think about. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video, hopefully.